Hello everyone, bonjour tout le monde, EFA30 on this Monday, April 27th. Today, I didn't start with my name, because I think right now, Jean Bourguignon, you should know by now, but I didn't start with my name, and I'm not going to going forward, EFA30 and EFA31 going forward, etc. But today I want to talk about my why. Why EFA? Equality for all, which stands for equality for all, because people ask me, what does EFA stand for? Why equality for all, etc. So I'm going to tell you my why. This is my why. Like, why did I start EFA, and why did I start kind of formatting it, and etc. in these organic conversations? One, my mind never stops, right? I'm like a laptop. When you close your laptop and then you open it up and just writes on. That's my brain. Even if I close my eyes, it's always on. It's always processing. Call it dyslexia. Call it what you want. I had all these titles as a kid. Today, multi-corporations and blah, blah, blah. So my mind never stops. And that mind that never stops processes a lot of messages, and constantly listening to people and messages on the internet and messages from people's voice, which I touched base yesterday. Like, why does everything have to be evil, right? Why is everything has an evil purpose to it? Because when you listen to the internet, everybody's out there with an agenda. Everybody's like everybody has an agenda, right? Everybody's evil, whether it's government, whether it's religion, whether it's organizations or philanthropists or whichever. Everybody's evil out there. There's an evil intent, right? Well, when you look at the world in a mass, the two big things that the world always want: the control of the almighty dollar and power, right? And they want the control. If you take the control on top, they want to control the mighty power of the dollar and the mighty power of power. Like they want that. That's how they're in control. And I don't care if it's governments or religions or organizations, right down to your smallest grassroots community center, right? People want to control something. And once we create something, people don't want to let it go. Once you create the departments or the buildings or the governments or the organizations or the positions and the titles and then once you start creating all that, people tend to hold on to that as their babies, right? And then their numbers, sometimes you want to have better numbers, and you want to, so people say they skew numbers, like, and I've talked about this before, like 1918 and today, they did the same thing. They're putting it all under the pandemic, and then they filter it out after. They've done the same thing before. If they know it's COVID-19 100%, then they put COVID-19. If they're not sure 100%, they put it under a pandemic. And hopefully in democratic societies, we have autopsies, etc., which declare if it was related to the COVID-19 or not. I look at my father, who had 5 massive strokes in his last 10 days on Earth, but he died of a heart attack. The underlying condition of all those strokes at the last 10 days, he got tired and his heart stopped. When I look at my mother, who had ALS, Lou Gehrig's disease, for 7 years, inside that 7 years, she had bowel cancer, she had that surgery, but at the end, she died of a cause of a diabetic shock. My mother wasn't diabetic, but she went to diabetic shock, and again, the underlying conditions that killed her. I know a gentleman with Alzheimer, but they died of the complications of pneumonia. So, and that's what they're going to find all these out with these numbers and all that. But will there be departments that will skew numbers, or will there be not for malicious intent because they feel those numbers fit there better than there, et cetera, et cetera. All that stuff is going to wash out at the end. At the end of the day, there was no malicious intent there. A lot of these places don't have malicious intent. And when I looked at my messages, why EFA? Because the thought of the mindset, we need to change the way we think, because the mindset out there is like everybody is out there for malicious intent. Everybody's got an agenda. Everybody wants to control something. Everybody wants to take away something. Everybody wants to. It's like, why are we all thinking like that? Why does, like, and this is why when I talk to people with substance, when I talk to people that have walked in those shoes, that have earned it, the ones that from the upbringing, the surrounding, the foundations, through the knowledge, the training, the experience, I speak with people that don't even have that hat on or that title in life, but they know so much about it because they've been doing it for 20 years as a volunteer. Or their family member has, like myself, with ALS, and I could talk about ALS because my mother did it for 7 years. I talked about the past, about making her breathe with a bag, right, keeping your mother alive. Like, I've done that stuff. When you're breathing for somebody and you do it routinely because you want to take them out of the hospital into the household, into with your friends and family, that kind of stuff. When you do that, when you're holding somebody's life in your hand by making them breathe, you tend to pay attention to more details. So those are the kind of conversations I want to have with individuals. And people say, like, when are you going to start interviewing people? When are you going to start? I want to look at it as conversations, organic conversations with those that have substance, those that have knowledge, that have the training, that have the experience, that have walked in those shoes. Whether it's a 25-year-old since the age of 10, he's been volunteering and building houses for some habitat of humanity format, and the reason why I do that, and I just said humanity. If you look at the universal human rights, read those universal human rights, right? And a lot of the stuff that's happening right now on the internet with messages, etc., with the malicious intent and the malicious evilness or the dark web or the dark something, some darkness is tied to the messages or for agenda or for purposes or whatever, that affects the world balance. And if you don't believe that, look at history. Look at history behind us. When you start boxing, when you start isolating, when you start putting people in little pigeonholes, when you start segregating between communities or between, that's why I love the grassroots, because maybe it's because I was raised in the hood, or maybe because I was raised in correctional facilities, maybe because of my parents' words, maybe because my sister dated different cultures, or I've married a different culture. Some of the smartest and best people on earth that I work with or associate with or converse with, some of the most intellectual conversations I've had before with anybody, whether it's somebody I sat beside on a plane going somewhere and I met once and the resounding conversation impacted on me, or somebody that I've known my entire life. And one of the things that they do not have in commonality, they're not all the same ethnicity. They're not all the same culture. They're not all the same color. They're not all the same sex. They're not all the same. Do you get it? Right? That's my point. All those individuals, what they do have in common, they have walked through those shoes. They have the knowledge. They have the training. They have the experience. They had the grassroots. They're not I'm the king of everything, but haven't done anything that relates to what I'm talking about. Right? So much of that right now. So much of people that are the kings of everything that can talk about anything that they haven't done. They haven't even walked in those shoes. They haven't even touched a tool that pertains to anything that they're talking about, but yet they know everything. Right? And that's where our messages are coming from. Right? Or even all of us get pulled into conversations sometimes. Remember when I said it a long time ago, my father had told me, do you know that to be true? Before you say something, make sure you say it doesn't hurt anyone, right? And that's why a lot of wars, because of words and that kind of stuff. Well, internet is words, is messages. So those messages, unless you know it to be true, unless you know that message to be 100% accurate, think before we share. I think before we post, because a lot of people, there's cultures, there's people because of ethnicity, because of their color, because of whatever, are being assaulted, they're being attacked, they're being labeled, they're being tarnished, they're being posted on the internet, and blah, blah, blah. Think about that. Reverse it. What if that happened to you? Wouldn't like it, eh? Just because the color of your hair, or because you're skinny or you're fat, or because you're taller, you're slim, or because of your culture, or because of your color, or because of whatever. But you didn't merit that stain. You didn't merit that sign. You didn't merit that tag, right? You didn't merit that. But people are just throwing it at you because the internet says so. Because somebody on the internet said so, so it must be true. That's why I have EFA. That's why equality for all. I'm talking about different things. That's why my message has to be balanced. And that's why the people that I'm going to have conversations with are going to be those that actually bring value to the conversations. They add to the substance. They add to change. They add to make a world a better place, right? And they listen to understand, and they respect each other's understanding of something, and that it makes sense. And then they leave the table, the round table I talk about, or the boardroom table, or the kitchen table. They leave that table with more knowledge, and you leave with, thank you, like old school, thank you, right? Elbow, those with no limbs, right? Body rub, whichever, just thank you, right? And that's what EFA is about. That's my why. That is why I'm doing what I'm doing. That is why I organically speak to you every day. If I look back at my original ones with the scripts, and then my little post-it notes over time, and then my last, half of these last 10 or plus, it's just been this, right? This is me. This is me. This is organic. This is what you see is what you get. And this is my message. This is my why that I want to do EFA, equality for all, because I want to make sure that when you look at the universal human rights of the grassroots people, that everybody that has earned their life, right? We all earn our life. We all earn it through a different path. And to those that want to see good through life and that want to see good for their neighbors and that don't have to put on somebody else, that want to see people prosper, that want to see happy families, that want to see growth in community and growth in better government and better organization and better everything, right? Those that want to work hard and be allowed to work hard, or those that want to be successful, that can reach as high as they want to be successful, those that want to do their religious thing on their religious day should have the right to do so, of all walks of life. Correct? So that's why. So the equality for all. The equality for all. Jean-Guy Bourguignon, EFA 30, wishing each and every one of you a fantastic week ahead of you. Merci.